Good morning, lads, ladies, and everybody in between. Happy Friday. I know it has been forever since I put out a video. I'm still kind of getting this whole life thing sorted out. Lots of updates on that, but that will probably come in next week. There's still some conversations that need to happen before I publicly announce anything. But today, due to some recent situations I've been a part of and been trying to help mitigate and manage, we're going to talk about how introspection can really help. As usual, I have a quote from Morgan Richard Olivier. And this is straight from his book, The Strength That Stays. I have not read that yet. I am more than likely going to get a copy. Because, like I said, one of my goals is I want to be a therapist. In order to do that, where I am, I'm going to need at least 10 years of school, but we're going to baby step our way up. So, anyone can blame the world, project their issues upon everyone they know, and live a life of selfishness. However, it takes strength, maturity, and humility to identify and address your own weaknesses, shortcomings, and toxic traits. So let's really talk about what that means. So y'all have seen in previous videos where I've talked about mindsets and how they can vastly affect the way you view life. Everything's about perception. What you see and how you see things will vastly affect what happens around you and how you deal with it. In my case, growing up, I didn't know how to look inside myself and know what my issues were. Like, I knew them, but I didn't want to accept them, so I pushed them away, which ended up doing more harm than good. I blamed everybody around me, it hurt a lot of people, my family included. In fact, they're the ones that took the brunt of basically my pain. But as I got older, I would say it started around my late teens. Excuse me. Where I really started breaking apart what it was that I was so afraid of, what I was pushing away. And in time, I started weaving through things that I was okay with, things that I weren't okay with, and how to deal with each thing. That really led into what kind of person I wanted to be. And I think with that, that's really where I started to level out, because I actually had to sit there and be honest with myself. I stopped looking at other people and what other people were doing to me. I looked at specifically what I was doing to myself and what that actually meant for everybody around me. And so, part of the reason this comes up, of course, is, like I said, a recent situation that I've been taking part in. Definitely not to going into a whole lot of detail because, privacy. But there's a lot of communication issues between some friends of mine. One is scared. He's I would say the best way for me to put it is he's still recovering. He's still processing. And he's trying to do he's trying to provide a world where he doesn't actually have one. And I mean, in my last video, we talked about giving what you have. He's trying to give things that he just does not have right now. And that's because he's having a hard time dealing with the things that he needs to deal with. Not forget, mind. Just deal with. My other friend, they're that doesn't necessarily sit well. It's hard for them both to wrap their perceptions around each other, and it makes for a difficult time for both of them. So when we're looking at stuff like this, right? I would probably say that the first thing that's got to be done is to have a true, honest conversation. Okay, this is just something that has to be done. You can't make any steps without having that communication and without being honest to yourself. And that's a difficult thing for people to do. I've noticed in this day and age, it's hard for people to actually want to look at themselves. It's hard for people to want to actually understand some of the changes that they need to make, because we all don't want to blame ourselves. We're all just doing the best we can, right? That's something that's really common in this day and age. And I shouldn't really say this day and age, because this has been a consistent thing, at least over the past couple generations, if not longer. But this is definitely a societal lapse, in a way. The part that... So we know that you've got to be honest to yourself, right? You've got to actually go through, take a look at what you actually truly need. Assuming, that's recognizable. And if you don't know what you need actually looks like to you, talk to somebody. Again, folks, I'm not a licensed therapist. The only thing I can do is give advice. Talking about my personal experiences here is the closest I can get to actually providing any form of therapy. And it really, all it is just basics. We're talking about basic life stuff here. When it comes to like this situation with my friends, step one, know what you need, know what that looks like. Step two, talk to each other about it. Find a middle ground. Find that resolution. Be able to take your perception of the situation and help each other match it up to the same picture. And I mean, this goes with friendships, this goes with marriages, this goes with dating, this goes with, family. This is a many-faceted tool. Like I said, this is just a basic thing. This can apply everywhere. Get into the bread and butter of what actually bothers the two parties and find a way to provide common ground. And if common ground can look like a lot of things. The biggest part is, what is the healthiest option for both parties? This is just conflict resolution 101. All right. So there could be a little bit of give and take. I know for a while I shut out a lot of people because I was not capable at the time of making substantial relationships with other people. Like I couldn't wrap my brain around it. It didn't work the way it needed to. So there's that. There can be legitimate reasons for any number of issues. I struggled to make lasting friendships because of the way my brain works. Thankfully, I've been able to save the friendships that I made, which it's really good. I've been able to actually go through and start expanding on the relationships that I tried to forge when I was younger, and start actually expanding on that and making it more of a friendship. And now I've got friends that I see regularly. But that's one example. Okay. But what I ended up having to do was be honest with myself and what I needed in order to actually start fixing my problem. And that's something you've got to be able to bring to the table when you're talking conflict resolution here. You have to understand. You can know where you're good all day. If you don't know where you're not strong, where, things just don't quite add up in a way that's kosher for a lot of people, you've got to be honest about that. You've got to be able to hold that up. And, folks, remember, everybody has some kind of toxic trait, okay? Mine tends to be, anxiety, getting too involved, worrying about the people around me to the point where it can be detrimental. It happens. I've gotten a lot better at being able to take that step back in order to, give people some breathing room. It took a couple of hard lessons to get there. But, I'm there. Another toxic trait is, I tend to be extremely blunt. I'm not too awesome at sugarcoating things. And one of the longest running toxic traits I've had was my inability to communicate effectively. Which, it's still a struggle from time to time. This helps. But this is part of the work that I've had to do in order to rectify those particular issues. There isn't a single human being out there that's perfect. We all make mistakes. Some of us make mistakes repeatedly. It's going to happen, folks. If anybody ended up being perfect, we'd all be up in heaven right now. Everything would be kosher, we're good, we're chilling with God and the homies, we'd be fine. But we ain't there, alright? So, how do we come together? How do we actually focus on the path that we need to build versus the path that we're already on? Like I said, be honest with yourself. That's it. That's the core of it. You have to be honest. And if you can't do that, you're not just hurting yourself, but you're hurting the people around you. It's a tough thing to deal with. Again, I hurt a lot of people before I could figure it out. And that's just because I didn't give myself that room to breathe. It took me leaving an entire state and basically going into a self-imposed exile that eventually became a true home. It took a few years to get there, but I'm comfortable. I'm happy. And primarily drama-free. So, folks, what I want to leave you with is you gotta stop blaming everybody else for your issues. Chin up. Look at yourself. And ask yourself who you actually are. If you can do that, then you're on the right track. Just keep going. Keep working on you. If you can't, homies, fams, you gotta get some help. Shit is tough enough. Just trying to figure the self out. Don't try and be a hero. Don't try to be a hero. Save yourself first. There's a reason why on airplanes, they tell you to put your mask on before helping somebody else. Because you can't help somebody else if you're not okay. But folks, that's kind of what I've got. I'm trying to get a semi-stable video schedule put together. Like I said, it's been tough. I've gone through my schedule change, so now I'm working nights just about every day. I still got my therapy once a week. So I'm trying to balance everything out as I can. Stay tuned. We'll probably have another video here on Tuesday, depending on how things go with my schedule and whatnot. I'm not going to promise anything. I mean, clearly I'm posting on a Friday, so. But, once again, be safe. If you haven't already, tell your loved ones that you love and miss them, and that you're proud of them. And remember to look in the mirror. Tell yourself that you love yourself. Because if you don't love you, what are you doing? Be safe out there, folks. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day.